Good morning. This is December 18th, 2021, getting really close to solstice. And our beautiful guest today is Crystal Lucas for part 2, where she's going to show us some contact modalities and just a few of her secrets about how to contact UFOs and how to contact the beautiful beings that she's that are with us today all the time. Okay, that was a crazy introduction, but here we are. Thank you, Crystal.
Thanks, Mimi. Thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure. And I'm excited. I think I have like 14 slides that are just packed full of different points, PowerPoints. And so we may have to break this up into a couple because it's really detailed, but I wanted to go over starting kind of from scratch, like how I figured out what was going on, because I just woke up and realized that I was having these contact events. And so I'm going to walk people through some of the things that they've actually just directly taught me, like while I'm in my dream space, and just things that I didn't realize were lessons. They were actually lessons. So I've just compiled all of the things that I think are really relevant to help us each prepare ourselves for contact, because it's already here, like it's already happening. It's just a matter of us accessing our real abilities. You guys can see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. So a lot of us as children had flying dreams. So I know that these flying dreams are it's us traveling. It's a form of astral travel. And so as children, when you go to sleep, before you've had all the conditioning of the world and before you've sort of been locked into your 5 senses, you have natural abilities. So if you've had flying dreams, then you are already able to astral travel. And if you have a hard time doing that as an adult, it's just practicing it and learning to use skills, and also to things like pineal gland decalcification. So the fluoride, and there's a lot of poisons in our food systems and water systems that intentionally target the pineal gland, which is sort of our third eye. And that's one of the areas that is directly linked to these kind of abilities and our interdimensional abilities, really. So like ahead of time, before you go to bed, you can pray. The other thing is what you put into your body is very important as well. Like if you're eating meat, the way that it works is like if you eat factory meat that has been tortured before it died, you know, like they don't always kill animals humanely. Sometimes it's like there's so much negative energy that goes into that meat, suffering and sickness, and then, you know, before their death, they really suffer a lot and are really scared. And that energy stays in the meat. Then we eat the meat, and then that lowers our vibration. That lowers a lot of things, and it makes us very dense. And we carry the energy of tortured and abused animals in our energy field. Like everything is energy, right? So like I'm not telling people not to eat meat, but when I started my awakening towards my ascension, which was December 21st, 2020, I couldn't eat meat anymore. I became vegan, and it just happened instantly. I just couldn't. I felt lighter, and that energy is not going to help you if you want to like ascend. You have to eat, you know, fruits and vegetables and healthy things as well, so that your energy body, your physical body are lighter and healthier, and not tainted with the energy of the darkness, because those slaughterhouses are brutal. Like they're satanic almost, the way they treat animals. It's really, really awful. The other thing is, if you want to try to, I'm going to tell everyone ahead of time that this is very important. If you want to do things like outside of your body, you want to learn things like astral travel and talking to other entities, it's very important that you have protection and guides. So you always want to be aware of who you work with. If you don't know, then you can ask. Usually meditation will get you in a spot where you can start to access, like you can start with your protection and guides. So you always want to call in your ancestors who protect you from the other side, and your spirit guides. And some of them may be ET, some of them may be human. They work in a multidimensional field. So that's important. Before you attempt to do things, you want to have protection and guides. You don't need to be like afraid, but there's good things and bad things out there. And some people who are not like prepared can be attacked psychically, or have the wrong things attracted to them, and then not know how to deal with them or get rid of it, or not sure. It's a big multiverse full of all different types of things out there. So we're going into it pretty blind. And the first thing that you want to do when you do any type of this work is protection and guides. And I can go into that more, but I'm going to keep going on astral travel. So like lucid dreaming. So this is really cool. I don't know if anyone else in the group has had this before, but have you ever woken up in a dream and then woken up again? Like that is interdimensional travel, or I think maybe astral travel too, where you're waking up in different dimensions. So like you might, like I'll give you an example. I had a dream or a vision where a cougar came to me and was sitting outside of my window, and it was talking to me telepathically. And the cougar was saying, I live in your area, I hunt in your area, and I have 2 cubs. And it was saying, I won't hurt you or your family, but please don't let anyone hunt us, because we did have a cougar in the area who was hunting deer way too close to the house. And I was going to have some hunters come and take the cougar out, because I had a really young child at the time and 2 puppies, and I was worried for our safety. Anyway, the cougar came to me directly, and it asked me to have like mercy on it, and it said it wouldn't hurt us. And in the dream, I had woken up and the cougar was outside of my window, and the neighbor's dog had come over and was barking at the cougar, and the cougar walked off. All of a sudden, like I went back to bed, I woke up again. So I woke up twice. The second waking up was in this reality. The first waking up was in another reality, another dimension, where I was able to talk to the cougar and the cougar could talk to me. The next waking up was the neighbor's dog was still outside in the exact same spot, but I was fully awake now. And so it was like astral travel, or I don't even know if I want to say lucid dreaming, but it was like interdimensional experience. So the second time when I woke up, the neighbor's dog was in the same spot. Everything was exactly the same, except the cougar wasn't there and it was gone. So that was really powerful. And I took that really seriously and called off the hunt for the cougar. And yeah, so I'm going to go into the next one. So there are ethics as well, like if you astral travel, and remote viewing is a little bit different than astral traveling, but depending on your skill set, they can be almost the same thing. So there are ethics. So if you're going to like fly around out of your body, there's certain things you don't want to do, like spy on people. And it depends on, I don't know, I would be careful if you were to try to remote view military things, because the military, if you were to like remote view something and find out some top secret information, you can get yourself in trouble. So just being careful about what you're remote viewing. Although I don't think we should be afraid of anything. I just think that, you know, just having like your intuition tell you, but definitely not spying on people or using it for any kind of like malevolent means. That's important, because like we are actually held to a code of ethics, even though we're just figuring out how to drive these astral bodies. We do actually have codes of ethics with the throughout the cosmos. There's certain things that are allowed and not allowed, and we're going to start learning those things. But yeah, spying on people or using it for purposes of self-interest or harming another is a big no-no. So the other thing is, when we consciously try to astral travel, so like say if you go into a deep meditation and you find yourself going to another place, leaving your body, going to another place, at first you may question what you're seeing in your mind's eye. And so sometimes our mind will try to kick in and it'll try to override the actual experiences that we're having. Most of the time, the first thoughts that you're having, the first images that you're seeing, the first things before your mind kicks in, that's the real stuff. And when your mind tries to take over, that's the mind just playing around and being the mind, which gets in the way of the intuition a lot. So we have to be able to follow our intuition versus our mind's thoughts. And our intuition and our heart are very strongly connected. Those two are completely connected. So if we are questioning things, like first of all, it's the first thing that comes to mind. Like say if you think about somebody, before your mind kicks in, I don't know if everybody can, but I think a lot of us would get sort of like this quick intuitive feeling about them, like, and then the mind kicks in and says, well, maybe they're doing this or that. But usually the first little thought that comes in, that split second before your brain kicks in, that's your intuition, and it's always bang on. Like it's extremely accurate, because we are interdimensional, and so we're all connected. And so so just practicing turning off your mind and letting your intuition strengthen. And so with astral travel, I was going to mention a couple techniques that people can practice in the group. So you can go into like a meditation, any meditation that you want. And as you're meditating and as you're like learning to shut your mind off, picture yourself becoming as light as a feather. And this lightness is us. This is our astral body. Like this is the light body that we can travel in, and that we can, remote view, that we can do all kinds of things in. Like that is the limitless body, right? That's our infinite body. So just practicing becoming as light as a feather, and getting your own physical body into a state where it can actually start to become lighter, which is no meat, or at least if you are going to eat meat, not meat that was from a factory farm or a place where it was really badly treated. Just having like lots of fruits and vegetables. And then the other thing is, we also need to release ourselves of the traumas and things that keep us in that density. So it's just a practice of going through the things that we need to be able to continue our ascension. And there's a lot to it. There's so much to it. But what I would say for astral travel, if you want to start practicing it, some of us are just doing it naturally in our dream space. And as we continue in our ascension, it's going to become like every night. And then eventually, like I'm at a point where I have two different lives. I have a life outside of my body, and I have a life inside of my body. And I actually like my life outside of my body a lot. It's really interesting. I'm always talking to different beings and being told about what's going on in the world and having these, it's amazing. My life here is, we are all going through a lot of crazy stuff. So it's kind of like, sometimes I'm like, I want to go back to sleep. I like the astral world better right now. But Yeah, so that's my slide on astral travel. Now, does anybody want to comment or have a question? We'll take a few minutes to go over the slide.
Well, I could
What's
mention
happening
that
in the
I
world?
do like the fact, I agree with you said in remote viewing, it's the first impression is real. I've been part of a remote viewing weekly group the last couple of months, and I find that's true. My experience, the first impression is right. Then after that, it's just all this thinking, which doesn't relate to the target at all. Thanks.
Yeah.
You said something about knowing what's going on in the world. Being in your astral body, you could have a clearer sense of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's going on, Crystal?
What's going on? Well, what do you mean? Like, I mean, there's so much going on. Like, do you mean politically?
You said the reverse. You said to me, your positive characterization of the current situation does not mesh with my understanding. The efforts by the Davos demons to shut down the world for their own agenda, seems to me the bad guys are winning. You said just the opposite.
Well, you see, the thing is that right now there have been, like I said in the beginning of the slides, that there have been conversations and peace talks that they've been contacted by the benevolent forces and asked to cease and desist. And they are well aware that they have their own laws, like universal laws that all beings, good or bad, in creation follow, especially when they're intelligent and conscious enough to travel through time and space. They have to sign and agree to these rules. Now, the thing is, the things that are happening in the world right now are looking bad, and it may seem like they're winning, but we are agreeing to it. So if people are going to continue to agree to their own enslavement, then these beings are not breaking their own rules. Now, when people, like right now, where they're waking up and saying, no, we don't agree to this, and then these beings are still pushing it forward and forcing it on people, that's where the benevolent forces are, they are stepping in and doing some intervention. They are attempting peace talks first, which are not really going well. So there is, yeah, like, I mean, these beings that are here pushing the agendas that are enslaving us, they are not human. They are not following their own rules. So there will be intervention. But they don't tell me everything. It's sort of like a war. Well, it is a war. And if the other side were to give all of their information out, then that would come into the hands of the enemy, right? So there are some things that they're not telling any of us, because I believe that it's a secret, because they don't want the other side to know. But also they have a very hard time fighting. It's like eye for an eye, right? They don't see things that way. So they're doing what they can to help us, and we are waking up, but not everybody is awake yet. We have a lot of people in a gray area who are still agreeing to these things, and they know that it's wrong, but they're not stepping into their own power and saying, no, I'm not doing
I'd love
this.
to hear from Helga. My understanding of what's going on in Austria and Germany and Australia is extremely negative. If she would be kind enough to share her sense of why people are complying in these countries, I would love to know.
Well, I'd rather
Thank
not
you.
do that now, no, because this is Crystal's presentation. That's crosstalk.
Okay.
I'd rather not do that.
Thank
Well,
you.
Actually, Brian, it's very important. And this is part of, definitely part of what Crystal would like to talk about. So if these questions do come up, I would like to allow them. How do you feel, Crystal?
Well, I think that it is a little bit getting off topic, because we're talking about astral travel right now. Everything that is happening, we've known about it for thousands of years. This was planned out, and it's supposed to be helping us ascend. And so when we see it in like in a non-attached way, like, yes, maybe it's always darkest before the dawn. So it might seem that there is some hopeless feelings, that it's getting really scary. And I honestly, I'm going to tell you guys bluntly, it's going to get worse, a lot worse. And we have to be ready for this. And so it's going to get worse. And eventually in the end, we have our new world, and it's way better. So just hang in there. It's not going to be a snap your fingers and everyone's awake and the world is heaven on earth. There's a process coming through here, and these talks are happening. The benevolent forces have said to them, you are breaking your own rules, and they're trying to negotiate. And then I'm getting a blank, so I'm not being shown what's coming. But I've seen in the past, I've seen that timeline. Where we had like, we had a China invasion in Canada. We had a lot of stuff, military and law and concentration camps. I saw all of these scary things. But right now, it's like, I'm not really sure. I just see that they're trying to negotiate. I was told that they're trying to negotiate with them first. And it's looking like there's so many people that are waking up. Those people haven't said, I'm not doing this. I don't agree to this. I don't consent. We want our new world now. No, they're just like, they're going along with it. They're still wearing their face diapers and they're still doing everything. So really they're consenting to it. So we have this 40%, it's in a gray area. And if they continue to agree to everything, then it was by our own consent, and we'll go into that more difficult time, which I think we are going to go into it. But it's not over. It's just part of this process. And so we just have to keep practicing and learning these skills and doing the things that we can to affect people around us in a positive way. We can't change what's going on outside. We can only change inside, and that changes it around us. So if each of us do that, that's the point. That's the whole reason why the ETs sent us light workers, us hybrids. They sent us to change the frequency without firing a single shot, without fighting violence with violence.
I would like to address something that she just said. We had a Eclipse meditation, a world meditation. Vancouver UFO joined in, and they were looking for 144,000 participants, and they actually got over 159,000 participants. And and we're having another one on solstice on Vancouver UFO, so it's posted there. I posted it last night. And what is happening is that, yes, prayer and meditation have a lot of force. There's no need for war. We definitely don't even have that kind of weapon, but we do have prayer and we do have meditation. And when there's a large number of us focusing on the same thing, it can happen. So the world meditation that's coming up on December 21st at 8 in the morning here on the West Coast, it's at 8 in the morning, is to call in divine intervention, and they needed 144,000 people to call this in. Now we got 159,000, and we're doing another one on the 21st. So I think that will help. And in the meditation that Prepare for Change has given us, what they're asking for is to visually see fleets in the sky, to visually see ships landing. And I think that this is what's needed. We need to speed up the process. And that's what I mean by the light winning. I understand that we live in a dual world, and the negative forces are actually there for our growth. They're not there for nothing. They're there to spur on growth, but people need to step up And one great way to step up is to do these meditations with others and to bring in the things that we want. So if everyone
Brian, can you
take a
make
look at
sure
that link, it would be great.
Brian, that's great. Where is that link, Mimi?
It's in Vancouver UFO at the meetup. This meetup is a joint meetup between preparing for, what is it called, Brian? Preparing for
Preparing for
contact.
alien contact. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Brian, can you make sure I get that link?
Sure.
and Vancouver UFO is a different group, but we work together sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's a meetup group as well. Yeah, so thank you, Crystal. I do believe that we have the power in numbers, and I understand what you're saying, that there is no winning, because we're all one anyway. So the yin yang of everything that's happening, one thing pushes another, I think. And we're at a very
Yeah, and a lot
time.
of us well, a lot of us souls like come from places that have been very peaceful. Oh, I have goosebumps right now. We come from places that have been very peaceful. We come from dimensions that were peaceful, and we were really, we haven't seen the condensed energy of the other side, the dark side or whatever. And some people, well, a lot of souls really wanted to come here to see this. Like they wanted to see something different than just light and wanted to help. But I think that they were like, they were asking the creator, like, I want to know the full knowledge of good and evil. And if you come from the light, then you know a lot of the knowledge of good, but to witness the full knowledge of evil or darkness or whatever, the other side of it, is a huge soul lesson, a huge teaching for your soul. So a lot of souls were like, I really want to go there and see this and help and do what I can. So even though it might be unpleasant, like our souls will, after being on this planet and having this lifetime, will have had a firsthand experience of a very intimate experience with evil. And that is a soul lesson that will come with us into our next incarnations and lifetimes.
I just sent in the chat, I just sent the link for the world meditation for Vancouver UFO. So it's there.
I hope you guys can make it. It's really important that we come together in prayer and meditation. That's how we change the world. And we don't have to fight evil with evil, or we don't have to lift a finger. We just have to change things energetically, because that's so important, and we're doing it. But it's like, okay, come on, it's gonna get worse if we don't do it sooner. But I guess that's all the way it's going, and it's just it's the collective lesson that we've asked for, because we do get exactly what we think we deserve personally and as a collective. And if we are asking for the hard lesson, we are going to get the hard lesson. and it might get more difficult for a while. And the things that I've seen were hard. I mean, they were hard for every single one of us. So, but that's what we came here for. And some of us really wanted to see like the full experience of good and evil. And so we just have to understand that this isn't it, that we have life after this. Our experiences here are extremely valuable to the ETs. Like I was told that when we leave this incarnation, we will go forward and bear light, which means we'll have knowledge that we'll be able to share with many other civilizations, that we were here on Earth at this time, that we witnessed all of these things, and that we were able to learn things that were very difficult, but very, very, very valuable, for the evolving of a civilization, and to help other civilizations, because to them it's so, they're way past war. They're in enlightenment and consciousness and peace all the time, and there's a lot of civilizations that are like that. So yeah, it's an honor to be here, and we have a lot to share. And even if like some of us don't make it, because I don't think all 8 billion of us are going to get through this. I think there are people who are leaving now because of things that are happening, and they're honored throughout the cosmos, like for the experience they had here and what they have to share. And so, yeah, like they say, go forward and bear light. And they mean that in your next incarnations too, because of your experiences here. So I'm going to go to my next slide. Does anybody else have any questions or anything, or should I just go ahead to the next slide? All right, here we go. I'm going to disappear now. So I was given a powerful teaching from my ET guides, who I used to think were angels, but I realized that really, maybe maybe if we use the word angel instead of ET, it might start to make sense in our history, even in the Bible and stuff, about our contact with ETs. But so my angels or ETs gave me a vision or a teaching where I died in my dream, and I left my body, and as I was floating up into the sky, this booming voice was saying, "What do you take with you when you go?" And I was like trying to grab onto things. I was everywhere at once. I was trying to grab my brother. I was trying to grab my jewelry box. I couldn't grab anything. My hands went through them. And then I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't take anything. And the answer was love. So in our lifetimes, in each of our incarnations, we, especially here on this planet right here, what we're going to be taking with us when we go is love. Like, that is allowed to stay with your soul. It's sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a bank account of love. Like all the other stuff is kind of, we're going to have that and be able to carry that wisdom and stuff, but the love stays with us forever. And we've become a more evolved soul, the more love that we experience and bring with us into our incarnations, into our next lives, and so on and so on. So love is really important, and it transcends death. It transcends everything. All the scary stuff, the dark stuff, that doesn't come with you. Love, and it transcends everything. So that's important. All right. So the other thing I saw was at the time of some of our perceived death, we did this quantum leap into the new world. So some of us might think, oh, it's really, really bad, and this is the end. And what ends up happening is we, at the moment of our perceived death, so we don't really die, but we do go into the new world. And a lot of our friends and family were waiting there for us. So there was this quantum leap. There's a lot of prophecies that talk about it, the new world, heaven on earth. There's a quantum leap. So it might be that this darkness that we're experiencing is going to push us and break us down and stress us out and freak us out and get us to the point where we're ready to do a quantum leap, where we may have not been ready before. So everyone's going to go at different times. There is a new world. It already exists. We just are accessing it at different rates. And some of us will at the time of their perceived death. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go through. So I kind of went through love is what we take with us. Love is infinite and dwells in the soul. God is pure love. Everything that God does, including creating the other side, the dark side, it's always from love. It's always from love. Everything comes from an infinite well of universal love, and that is God. That's what we're all connected through. When we can tap into that, even just a fraction of that source, we can get through anything. We are spiritually stronger, extremely strong. There's a limitless pool of universal love that comes through each of us because we were created by that source, and we can access it. We've been a little mixed up with all of this and unable to access that infinite source of universal consciousness and love, which is the God energy. So we are God experiencing itself through us. So everything in creation is an expression of God, and it's how God experiences itself, because it is so highly intelligent, all-knowing, and all-being, that it needs to create creation to experience itself. And then love is the key to the universe. So that's kind of important, because I feel like that is something that we're really lacking in our world right now. And so we're trying to love ourselves, we're trying to love each other, we're trying to love the earth, and we're trying to do that, but it's not always like easy. And so we can always just stop and ask ourselves, like, okay, how can I put, like, inject love into this situation? What is the message that serves the highest good? Like, how can I find the love, even if it seems like a cruel situation? Like, what is the higher purpose? How does God love this situation and create this situation out of love? Where is the love? So we're always like, just let it guide you, like, through, like things that are difficult, like as somebody passes away, or there's a situation that seems really unfair. Well, what is, like, God, the creator's loving reason for this? What is it? Like, even as a planet, what's going on? It's pushing us to a better existence. So that is love. So it's really powerful. I know it sounds sort of cliche, but it is huge. Like, it's huge throughout the universe, or all the ETs, the benevolent beings, and even the malevolent beings, even though they're as far away from love as they can be, they work in a weird way. It's like love that's been twisted up, and they also work to create more love in the universe. They just pushed it in a different way. All right. Okay, does anyone have any questions about that? All right, so I guess I'll go to the next slide then, if you guys are ready for it. So the new Earth. So what I've seen for the new Earth is green free energy. So, like, energy that has no impact, no negative impact at all on the Earth or on us or anything, just totally clean energy. We have 1,000 years of peace. So that's in the Bible as well, but I was told that directly from the ETs, from the Greys, that we were going to have 1,000 years of peace after this situation is dealt with. And they showed me that we would have major technological advancements that were very much connected with our contact with them, with not just the Greys, but the whole Federation. Or I don't really call them the Federation, I call them the intergalactic community. That's what they call themselves. Yeah, so technological advancement. So, like, we have, like, cities that float on the ocean that are totally green, that are like massive pods, and the kind of technology that you would just, like, imagine aliens would have, and that they would bring to us or show us. And so, like, consciousness craft that operate, just, we can control, like, little ships, spaceships, with our minds and our consciousness, and travel through the universe. And we have these huge cities that are totally clean, and we have, like, a really high focus on education. Like, one of the biggest focuses in the new world in the future is going to be on our children. Like, they are super important, and they are number one priority. The children are number one priority, and their education and their well-being. But their education is huge. So teaching them about the universe, about the other species, about the intergalactic community, about travel, science, sacred geometry, the new language, like, all of this stuff, they're really focused on teaching our children and getting us back on track, evolutionarily speaking, because we are behind because of the hostile takeover that we have on this planet right now. So we're way behind, but they're going to get us up to speed quickly. And they are showing me that our children are, like, it's not going to take as long as we think. Like, our children are going to be able to accept and learn a lot more than we think they can, and what we've been taught in our world now. Like, we're taught, the ABCs, and, like, these kids are going to be taught, like, advanced sacred geometry. Telepathy will be happening for them right away. It's like a world that you can't imagine, but it's just so much better, and it's exactly it's exactly what we deserve, because that's where we are. Evolutionarily speaking, we should be there already. We probably should have been there about we could have been there maybe like 1,000 years ago. This hostile takeover has been happening for, I think, 26,000 years. All right, so we've got knowledge sharing, space travel, consciousness, and spiritual science. So that's like we are learning and teaching our children, and the first generation, the ones that live through the earth changes and through this major event, physically live through it. We're going to be like going to school and learning, about consciousness and spiritual science. But most of us, the ones that make it through this, are already highly conscious, because we have to follow our intuition, and we have to be able to work on a different level to get through the things that happen. And so, but that doesn't mean, like, people who don't survive, like, say, some of these major events or whatever, if they don't physically survive, it doesn't mean, like, I think that they'll just end up in the new world. So there's a couple timelines and a couple different ways of this going down, but I think that in the end, everyone's ending up in the same place. So the other thing is, like, instead of governments, we have councils. So we'll have, like, one of the councils that I'm part of is a council of 13. And so we're all women. All of us are women. I don't know how that works out. We meet, like, I've met with the council on a spaceship, so it's definitely not earth-based. But we have councils, and we have many different councils for many different things, and the councils are like a government, except, like, we vote, and most of the people on the councils are very experienced and have had many lifetimes and gone through many things, so that each of them can work together to share and bring their soul's knowledge together to vote on topics, or to talk about things and try to work out solutions for different galactic and intergalactic issues. And then earth issues as well. We'll have earth councils, which we already have an earth council. We have a new society is already being formed. We have beings and people that are really advanced right now, and that are already part of these negotiations and talks that are trying to sort things out peacefully. So yeah, so we will be doing councils rather than governments. There will be no ability for tyranny or for dictatorships or fascism, or any of those things will be a thing of the past. War, all of that will be a thing of the past. And then also we will be accepted into the intergalactic community, which I've already talked about. We will be, like, formally accepted, as in we will actually have representatives who are part of Earth councils and who will represent Earth in the intergalactic community. And there won't be, like, just one person's, like, again, so that we avoid any type of, any type of collusion but yeah, by that point, most of the people that are here are going to be of high consciousness, and they won't be selected as representatives from councils or whatever, unless they are spiritually, psychically, and, like, maybe physically of a peaceful, benevolent personality. Like, they won't be able to fudge their way into these roles, basically, like our earth politicians do. All right, so does anyone have any questions?
Shecky does.
Okay.
So you
Shecky.
Gizmo.
okay, are you going to get on screen? Where is she? Okay. Your last comment about councils replacing governments and no more fudging by domestic politicians was totally consistent with my thoughts were regarding World Economic Forum. Hi, Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
So what is your, do you know much about the World Economic Forum? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, the
Klaus
World Economic
Schwab?
Forum.
Right. You know about that?
Yes, we all know about the cabal, Checky, for sure.
Okay, so to me, your agenda that you outline, which is extremely attractive, smacks of the same agenda that the World Economic Forum is promoting. So to the extent that some of us are concerned about this entity being a force for deception, I'd like to know how you kind of answered it already, or Mimi did, that you see it as the cabal. So if the answer to that is yes, you see it as the cabal, then my follow-up question is, how does the pandemic work into this conversation?
Okay, well, the World Economic Forum is the cabal. They're the people who are trying to enslave the world. And they are working on it. They've been working on it for like 26,000 years, and they're not human. It is the part of the hostile takeover. The Earth Councils that I'm talking about have absolutely no affiliation with any of those kind of groups. These are councils that are going to be formulated by us and by our contacts throughout the intergalactic community. So the World Economic Forum has like absolutely nothing to do with the new world that I'm talking about, the new Earth that I'm talking about, which it will stand regardless of whatever timeline we're on. The only timeline that I've seen where the World Economic Forum.
But you are aware that there is an overlap between the.
Sorry, what was that?
You are aware, though, that there are certain similarities in language in what you're putting, which I find very, very attractive, and clarity or an overlap in the use of words that the forum, the Economic Forum, is promoting, and to the extent that the pandemic, to me, is the instrument in the present tense that they're using to achieve their goals, I am concerned.
Yeah,
how do you
well,
see the pandemic fitting?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the pandemic too much. We all know, like most of us know what's going on, and yes, the World Economic Forum likes to use doublespeak, where they say something is very good and kind and benevolent and here to help humanity. It's all just words that are dressed up. It's actually just an agenda that's dressed up. It's a pretty package, and but we're going to go forward from that because they can say lots of nice things. But really, at the end of the day, it's a hostile takeover, and it's our enslavement on a global scale that we've never seen before. And it has been attempted before, and they were wiped out with a flood. That was the time of Noah's Ark. So it was attempted, and that was around the time that I think the Tower of Babel fell. So we have had them working this behind the scenes for a long time. They used to call themselves different names throughout history. These beings live for a long time because their time is a lot. Our time is very slow compared to their time and their dimension. So like 26,000, they've been here for a year in their time. So 26,000 years in our time. So yeah, they've called themselves many different things.
Thank you.
Hey, Crystal.
Thank you, Crystal.
Could I ask you a quick question? Hey, I just thinking, Crystal, thank you for bringing a lot of info to the table and a positive slant on the future. Can you give me an idea as to how long before we start to see these changes, as I'm older and I doubt I have too many decades to wait around for this to happen?
Oh no, it's over the next 2 years.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Good.
We're almost at the end. The only thing is that I believe, and this is through my visions, and it sounds a little scary, but we're gonna have to go through our war in North America. And we have another timeline that's emerging that's more positive, where we stop this. And recently I actually did see that the movement of people who were standing up for freedom were able to stop the progression of the banners of Satan or the banners of hell marching forward. That's my most recent vision, which is a very different timeline. But what I've been seeing for like 20 years was a war that lasted just under 2 years. And it was almost like an extermination of North America. And during that time was when we had like the big events like earth changes and things like that, where it launched us forward into a new era and with contact. But this new time that I've been seeing, it has just been created. We have literally been creating a completely new timeline. These global meditations, these things that we're seeing, or that we're doing on purpose, coming together, communicating, meditating, manifesting a more positive future, it's working. I'm seeing an emerging timeline where we actually stop this extermination. But I think we have about 2 years. And in 3 years from now, the world will be a completely different place.
Do you
like completely different.
Do you find yourself up there talking to people that you don't really know very well? Do you find it's good for you? Do you find it kind of cathartic, putting together an excellent presentation and getting the information that you've got bottled up inside that's probably quite difficult to understand or even trust? Is it a good thing for you to come out here and talk to people and share that?
Well, I was told
otherwise you wouldn't be.
I was told by the ETs that this was my job, one of my jobs.
Cool. So
I didn't really
direction.
want to. Yeah, I get told exactly like where to go, what to do. I was told in December of last year, it's time for you to speak now, and you need to share this information.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
Yay! I was
Good
like
stuff,
scared.
girl.
I didn't really want to, but I'm not going to say no.
Well, my shoulders are probably a little bit bigger than yours, but you're doing a heck of a job. That's good.
Oh,
Bearing that weight, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit hard because I don't talk too much about the dark stuff that I've seen, but it's like, okay, we do have a lot of stakes. So I'd like, my guide is Enoch, and I said, oh my gosh, we have to warn everyone. And he said, that's your job. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Because what I was seeing was really hard to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a new timeline emerging strongly. But in every single timeline that I see, there is these guys are fighting for their own lives. It's us versus them.
They have a good reason to go against us. It's their own lives that they're trying to save.
They're trying to save their own lives. We are theirs. And we're trying to save ours.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Just seeing big bad boogeyman that wants to do because they're mean, but they have a sense of purpose too, you say. There's a reason why they're doing this, is just stay alive or stay, within reasonable expectations of that, yeah?
Yeah, they're trying to survive. We are their food source. They feed off of other beings. They're parasitic in nature.
So a man has a question also. Is your guide Enoch a gray?
No, he's an Arcturian.
Okay, well, what do Arcturians look like? Are they humanoid?
No, he looks more like a gray than a human, but he's he's just different. I don't know, how do you explain what an alien? He's got a I could draw it out for you guys, but you could also Google Arcturians and you'll see there's lots of really good art, and it's very accurate. There's other people who are talking to the Arcturians. Yeah, you know what? I'll find a picture of an Arcturian and I will I'll post it in the comments below this meetup. Yeah. There's people who are seeing them because they're drawing exactly what my guide looks like, and like I was like going into this blind like thinking he's calling himself Ewok, and I was like, what is going on? Who is? But now I after a year of like regular contact, daily contact with him, I see exactly what he looks like, and I can talk to him, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys. It's practice.
I want to learn. I don't want the hassle that comes with it, but I kind of do. I'd like to learn more, definitely.
Sorry to interrupt. Are they from the planet Arcturius?
Yes. Well, I think it's a galaxy, isn't it? Arcturia.
Or could be, yeah. I have it. That's correct, though, right? Arcturius.
Yeah, Arcturus is a galaxy, so there's like many different beings that are considered Arcturians.
Okay.
So you have like humanoid-looking Arcturians. My guide is an Arcturian who wears a sort of a protective cape or whatever you want to call it, like a hood, a robe, and he has a symbol here, and he looks like a gray, similar to gray, but not exact. And so I will find a picture so I can show you guys what Enoch looks like.
Awesome.
And Enoch works with many people on this planet. He also worked with Jesus and his apostles. So yeah, there's a long history of involvement with some of our master teachers.
Do you feel somewhat inadequate sometimes? Not with us, because you know a lot more than most of us, but when communicating, relating to the higher intelligent, because they must be, I mean, they have things that we have no idea about. Do you find yourself somewhat inadequate? Like you say to yourself, I'm learning all the time and I want to keep on learning, but because this was my question the other day, how do I go up, not against, but to these people who, from what I understand, their intelligence is so far above mine that I can't tell, I won't be able to tell whether they're lying to me, whether they're telling me the truth. And my only recourse is to trust in their benevolence. In that, and I do, from talking to so many or listening to so many people, Susie Hansen for one, but to trust in that benevolence. Should I? Or must I? I would like to think it would be the thing to do. I don't want to be fooled all the time. I want to have something that I can believe it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's there are more than one faction of extraterrestrials here that are part of the malevolent side, and it doesn't go by species. It goes by the nature of each being and in their soul, and what they've chosen to be here as. So we cannot say, okay, all grays and all tall grays are working with the government. They're enslaving us. It is the same as humans. You have good humans and you have bad humans. You have nice dogs and mean dogs, and you have, it's a soul choice, but it's more the polarization is a choice of what they want to experience individually, and as the creator wants to experience itself through each of us. So it's really, sometimes I feel like I'm trying to just grasp a little fraction of what they're trying to tell us, and it's so complex that it's like, okay, I feel like I'm trying to drive a vehicle and I'm blindfolded and my hands are tied behind my back and I'm trying to understand this.
Good luck. Helpless. Yeah, pretty helpless, I bet. Too much info, guys. Take it easy on me. I'm just a small human with a little brain. Take it easy. Yeah.
Especially when I first started, it was overwhelming. I was like almost on the verge of having a total mental breakdown, because it was like shit flying in my room at night, portals were opening, I was like having crazy contact, owls showing up outside of my room, black helicopters flying over. They must have been able to tell that I was having a lot of contact. And also with my videos, I had like, it was crazy. I could only listen to opera music. Like my awakening was like opening a floodgate that was so intense that it took me like probably 6 months to integrate reality back, because when we do open these parts of ourselves up, it's like I said, I would turn on, I had to sleep with my light on, because when I would turn my light off, there'd be flashes and orbs, and sometimes ships actually little ships would fly into the room. And I was like thinking that I had totally lost it. I thought, okay, I'm there's something weird. And I was like, you guys have got to stop. This is too much. And they did. So it was like, okay. But yeah, like they were like, sometimes they're not aware of how limited we are. And so they like, oh, you want to talk to us? Yes. All right. Like, send everybody, there were people like waiting to talk to each of us. Like, there was like so much joy among the community. Oh, they're ready to talk to us. Let's go talk to this one. And this one's awake. Let's go talk to her. And that they would like get a little carried away and then just scare us. It scared me for sure.
How do I know if I'm ready? Isn't that interesting?
Well,
like, I mean, I might have all the gumption, all the desire in the world. Come on, pick up the phone, give me a shout, whatever you got to do. But how do I know that I'm, even slightly prepared to be involved? And I guess that's what you're saying, talking about meditation, getting in touch with yourself, and find your base before you go anywhere, which I think is an ideal thing to tell people, because if we don't know much, we're not going to learn, because we won't believe it. We have to be satisfied or comfortable with who we are and where we come from in order to accept anything that's far out and something that's brand and totally new. So yeah, good advice.
Yeah, and they're so excited that they're happy, and they get carried away too. And so we actually have to assert our boundaries with the extraterrestrials, because they definitely are so eager to help us that they sometimes overestimate our abilities, and will do things that are overwhelming to us psychologically, can be damaging. A lot of us contactees we've said the same thing, where we're like, okay, enough. Like, you guys are scaring me. It's too much. So I'm going to go through all of it, but I have 14 slides. So I'm going to have to break this talk up into a few, I think, if everyone's okay with that, because I'm only on like slide number 3 and I have 11 more to go. So
I'm waiting. That's good. Okay, I'll let you go.
Crystal, how about if we did this on at least a monthly, say every month, that the two groups would get together and you could do a presentation
do that.
until you're finished? That would be wonderful. I would love to have you on,
Yeah.
I would love that. And
And you
okay,
could just
great. Awesome. Well, should we go?
report from the mountains.